Well, welcome everyone, and thank you for being here. My name is Christy Mahan. I own Escape Artist Holidays, part of Dream Vacations. And tonight is our latest event, our latest session as part of the We Will Travel Again events. Today, we're going to be talking about what it's like to travel right now and what that's going to mean for tomorrow. I'm very excited about tonight. It's not a destination, it's a lifestyle travel. And I've got some really special guests with me tonight to be part of this roundtable discussion. So let's start talking with our friends here. So we have from MSC Cruises, Dion Hart. Hello.
Hi, how are you guys?
And from my headquarters, Drew Daly, all around great guy, travel guru, industry genius. Thank you for being here.
Oh, Christy, good evening. My pleasure. Hi, everyone. I love that. I'm gonna have to take those terms and add that onto my bio. I think you're way too kind. But by the way, everybody that's joining tonight, Christy is this show is an award-winning show now that you put on. So kudos to you for really taking a platform to educate people on travel and inspiring travel. So I'm so excited to be joining you, and I'm looking forward to the discussion.
Well, thank you. And we're going to be joined in a little bit by one other travel professional. She's running a little bit behind, so I'll be sure to introduce her when she joins in. So what we're going to cover tonight is a little bit of ground about what travel will look like in 2021 based on what we know today. Some of that we are kind of speculating about, but we can talk about what we know is going on right now to kind of foreshadow things. So we're going to talk about that current state and what that experience is like. Because I think probably the biggest question is, aside from when can I travel again, is what is it going to be like? Is it going to be up to the expectations I'm hoping for? And that's what's important to all of us, because we want to still be able to have travel be that wonderful experience that we've come to love and enjoy so much. We're also going to talk about what many different companies have right now, including MSC and our other guests from Collette Tours, are these great book with confidence, these flexible booking policies that are in place right now. And also, of course, the benefits of working with a travel agent. So we'll talk about all sorts of things tonight, and I'm excited to get started. So I'm actually going to ask Drew to kick us off tonight. Drew has had the great pleasure of taking a vacation recently. And he went to one of his favorite places in the world. We were just talking about this the other day. So Drew, I'd like to ask you to tell us a little bit about where you went and why, aside from it being a favorite place of yours, and what that experience was like going and being there in Aruba. Uh-oh.
There you go. That's what I love about technology. It's like we start things, we're on mute for technical reasons, and then you forget to unmute. That's the new sound of 2020. Nothing. Right. Everybody's on mute. But anyways, one of my favorite places. There's so many places out there, and I desperately cannot wait until we can visit the many places and cultures of the world via cruise ship. That said, when I needed a break to get away, and one of my favorite islands, part of the ABC Islands, which is Aruba, Bonaire, and Curacao in the Southern Caribbean, I wanted a place that was outside of the hurricane belt. And Aruba is an island I've been to many years ago, and I absolutely fell in love with it. It's not very lush, not tropical. It's a desert island. It's super small, but it's known as the one happy island. And there's no toot of the angry horn as their slogan. But it is one of those destinations where it just is magical and great. And I was so happy to go. And I was really impressed. So I did a lot of research, as most people do now, on what are the protocols, what are the entry requirements. And I actually appreciated the entry requirements that Aruba had set in play. And I liked this. It was definitely stricter than most destinations, but it was easy to go through it, and it was a great vacation experience.
So what kind of pre-travel regimen did you need to do? Did you have to already have a negative COVID test? Did they do it at the airport?
Yeah, no. So basically they require a negative, well, it was different based on where you live. I happen to live in Florida. So Florida at the time had a lot of cases that were spiking. So they required people from certain states or countries to get the negative nasal PCR test, which had to be a negative result within 72 hours. When you got there, and plus prior to disembarking or embarking on your airplane, within that 72-hour window, you had to go and register on their Aruba government site with all your information, and you had to purchase their insurance. So they had a mandatory travel insurance that they required everybody that comes to the island, because they really wanted to make sure that anybody traveling there was protected in the unlikely event they would have to be in quarantine. So I got all the testing, everything was fine. The biggest obstacle anywhere is finding testing that will give you the results that you need and the type of test within that time frame, because obviously now the number of tests around the country have increased rapidly. So the results, you just have to make sure you can get that test back within the time frame. I had no problems with it. Got to the airport, they wanted to see the digital copy of the test, and then they could still decide that they take your temperature, they do that everything. They certainly can still decide to give you another test when you arrive, and that's what you're opening yourself up to when you're there. But I must say, the act of traveling, it's so different now. Like getting into the airport in Miami, checking in on a plane. The Miami airport, it's one of the busiest airports in the world. Nobody was around. It was like literally a ghost town. But we had masks. We also had face shields, just because to make sure, just for extra precaution. And we kept those on going through Miami airport onto the airplane. And then of course that was the requirement in Aruba as well. So the safety and health protocols administered at every hotel and in the island was top notch. And it was there was not as many people were there. So it was the safety, the social distancing naturally unfolded because the island didn't have a lot of occupancy.
And did you feel like when you were on the plane that, because that's been another kind of bone of contention for people, like, oh, well, I have to get on a plane. Did you feel while you were on the plane that generally speaking, everybody was kind of rowing in the same direction? Everybody was playing by the rules?
Yeah. So it concerned me because I'm like, we all have a role. Some of us are the police and some of us are just whatever. They just let it go by. I happen to gravitate towards, why aren't they wearing their mask? Why are they doing that? So I was concerned. I have to make sure I keep my mouth, and not say anything because it's not my business. But on the airplane, everybody was absolutely respectful. We didn't have any situations that unfolded. The flight attendants were super amazing. This is American Airlines we flew, but I think people are just more flexible to a point. They really recognize they were going on a vacation. Plus, I think the air quality that we're seeing now and the statistics and the data that's coming out about the recycled air on an airplane and just how great it actually is. So I think we get to know more data as we have more time with this virus. So.
Sure. I think one of the things I've learned the most from other people who are physically traveling themselves, right? So it's not just about reading things and keeping up with the news and stuff, but it's been that experience, right? People who love to travel are the ones who are willing to travel now. And they're all seem to be very pleasantly surprised with the experience. Part of it's because there was that kind of reduced number of people traveling. So you're having a little different experience on that front, and it's a good thing, right? It's an upside no matter what. And then because there's this kind of unspoken camaraderie with travelers anyway, that you're going to kind of all row in the same direction. Like if you want to be on the plane, I'm sorry, you're going to play by the rules. So it does give you
a couple of things.
Safety.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. The rules are so important now. Like that's what it comes down to. Like the things at the airports, like you don't have a lot of the lounges that are open, so some of that stuff. But no, I think that I was blown away and impressed with what the airports adjusted to. And, in my role too for the organization, I'm involved in different groups that we are part of, focus groups, like even like what should we be doing? Because of customers like all of you that are joining us tonight, so thank you. I hope you all are doing well, and we're super excited to be here with you. But I think ultimately anything like that, we want to make sure we can share with you so that you can begin your travel journey. And until you start consuming travel, you don't really know. You know what it was like being at an airport before. But when you walk into an airport now and you see the shields up that in front of the TSA or in front of your check-in counters, that is friction because it's not what you're used to.
Right.
So by us traveling and we can capture that and share it. I mean, I was taking pictures of people cleaning and people were liking it and loving it. Like cleaning is now the new table stakes, right? But people were loving seeing it, right?
Yeah.
And when you went to your resort, I mean, on that end and the Aruba end, the check-in process, I mean, unique, what you expect, how did that go?
You know, I think it was definitely what I expected. Like, they were very focused on making sure crowd control. Again, not a lot of people were in the lobbies, but they met you at the front door. They made sure you had a reservation. There was social distancing markers everywhere. Hand sanitizers were everywhere. There were shields up at the front desk check-ins. I mean, Aruba, one of the things about Aruba, I happen to like gambling, not like slot machines. I love penny slots. But anyways, I know, right? But they also have casinos and all their kids. So I wanted to see a casino, but I'm like, I don't really know if I would want to go into a casino. But there I felt safer because it wasn't a high volume of people. But I was super impressed with their protocols there. And people were literally cleaning as someone got up, everything. And it was just impressive to see it. So at the resorts, at the restaurants, at the experiences, like we did some localized tours, everything that you would expect. Masks were required when you were out in the public areas, when you were amongst people, you had to socially distance. But for the most part, people were enjoying themselves and enjoying the amenities at the different properties.
So despite the unusual circumstances, you had a great vacation.
It was an amazing vacation. Yeah, absolutely. It was great. I loved it. And I think ultimately it's reminding of the importance of all of us taking time to vacate, and so that we can break away from our reality and then come back and recreate. Like, that's the joy of planning a vacation, is actually better than the actual experience. There's a lot of great reports on that, right? Because you get happy when you're thinking, oh, I can't wait to go on an MSC cruise, right?
So
that's
right.
Yeah,
absolutely.
right.
Absolutely. Dion, one of the things that, and I'm going to show your video in just a second, but one of the things I'm so impressed with is the fact that the onboard experience, much like what Drew was just talking about, the resort, the onboard experience is something that I want to make sure my clients are going to have exactly the kind of expectations they've always had in the past will still be the same. And that really came clear with your company. It's such an integral part about kind of returning to sea.
Yeah, we did it. In August of this year, we jumped back in the water, and everyone, I felt like the whole world was watching us as we did it. We did on the Grandiosa and on the Magnifica. We had 2 7-day sailings, and everything went off really perfect. If it would maybe a little glitch, but for the most part, everything that we were within, we created a bubble just in the guests just coming into the port. Of course there were some of the safety was the safety testing was you had to go through 2 COVID testing. If you pass the first one, great. And if for some reason it came back negative, you had to take a second one 20 minutes later. And then you had the temperature check before you got on board. So you had to go through all these prerequisites before you were even able to board the ship. And, we went through so much because our first priority, of course, is to the clients and to our crew. So we make sure we do daily testing for our crew member. And again, what I'm speaking of is in the Mediterranean, which is
where
we're
talk about that, because I don't want to give the impression that all your boats are, that's not true.
Let me be clear.
You got your best ships in the water, but you're being real selective about where they are right now. You're being
right, exactly. Yeah, so that's not going on here because we don't.
We're not there yet.
We're not sailing. We're definitely not there yet. So we're excited and we can't wait. But Drew, it's not we're not doing what you actually have been there, done it. We're looking at what's happening and we're getting reports back and saying, okay, yeah, everything's working well, and we hope that pretty soon we're going to be here doing the same thing as well. So, yeah.
Well, and I think that's what's been most impressive, if you don't mind, Christy and Dion, is that the cruise industry has voluntarily expanded the cease of operations. They want to make sure when it's safe, and safety is paramount, right? So I've been inspired by what they've been doing and you've been doing, and I love seeing what's unfolded in the Mediterranean. But I think obviously those cruise experiences that happen in the summer, all the cruise lines learned from, because they could see it unfold. So
yeah. Definitely.
Hey, I want to welcome to the call April Martinez of Collette Tours. Hi, April.
Hi, thank you so much for having me today.
Oh, we're happy to have you. We are just getting our feet wet with MSC Cruises. I was just about to play this wonderful video. If you want to set it up for us a little bit, Dion, let us know where this came from. That gives everybody some perspective on it.
So this video is what our safety protocol is on the Grandiosa, just to give you a little insight of what life on board is like, and what some of the safety features, what, you know, the theater, going to the theater, going into the buffet, all of that, what life, you know, what you're going to go through as far as for the distance and all the things that, you know, when you go to the pool, what that looks like. So I play, you know, you go ahead and play it and they'll get it, and then we could talk about it some more. But
okay, so I'm going to go ahead and play this. You might not hear the audio, but that's okay. The audio is really just music. So don't fret if you don't hear anything. Sometimes it's like that part.
Mi sento talmente sicuro che ho portato qui a bordo anche i miei figli. Tutte le operazioni, sia dall'imbarco che a bordo che durante le cene, gli spettacoli, sono tutte organizzate molto bene.
Non siamo veterani, è la nostra esperienza sulla nave, ci siamo parecchio divertiti.
La trovo più sicura di un'altra qualsiasi vacanza, secondo me. Divertimento, relax, tutto ciò che uno si aspetta dalla crociera è stato rispettato in pieno.
It's vital that everybody follows the protocols. Everyone is very safe. We have the COVID test before you embark. We also have temperature checks when we go into the restaurants or the buffets. So safety for everybody is paramount.
I love that. It's really does cover the gamut of what's on board. And I think one of the things that when you said the world is watching, right?
Yes.
It's
Mhm.
that because you're the first back in the water,
Yeah.
it was a way for so many of the other cruise lines. Well, many of them were working together to
Right.
come up with a plan to
Yeah.
present to the CDC for cruising out of the States. We're watching to see how it was going with you guys. And I
Right.
think that so much of what you do is reflected in those guidelines that they proposed. And that is what's going to come next,
Yeah.
steps for cruising.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. When before we even, before this, putting together, what MSC did was they got together with a blue ribbon group that in that group were experts in the health, medicine, science, health, what public health is, and to come up with all of these to get, to put all together what the procedures were going to be. And, like the gentleman said at the end, the safety of our guest and crew that's the most important thing to us.
Right.
And, when they were going to do it, we're a company that everything is in well thought, and we're going to meet whatever the expectation is, and we're going to go above. And I think I know, as you can see, we've successfully, we've done it. So now we're just waiting to see what we're going to do here. And I'm sure we're going to do the same. We're going to exceed whatever safety protocol, because again, it's our priority for the safety of everyone. So.
And I think that all my people online tonight can take great comfort in the fact that not only is that the attitude, right? We're going to exceed expectations on all
Exactly.
but there's already a track record built up where success is happening. So as the world begins to open up, as other places are going to accept cruising from MSC and other cruise lines, that there's a track record in place that says, you know what, these things work. And like we were talking about, the responsibility is also on the traveler to play by the rules and do those things, that it can be that safe space we all love to enjoy again.
Exactly. When you're going out with your family, you as the agent, you're letting your clients know this is going to be safe. And if you can show already what's going on, and we're just waiting to implement it, and everyone wants to be safe. No one wants to get sick or be around anyone that's going to be sick. So yeah, let's play by the rules and still have a great vacation.
Exactly.
And be more confident, and be confident that, everything is being cleaned every night. When you're in public areas, there will be masks worn. People will respect, your distance. And as you can see in the video, when you go to the pool, it's every other lounge chair. When you're at the theater, they'll be doing more shows on board. So the theater isn't going to be packed. It's every other seat. And we're going to be broadcasting what's going on in theater in your cabin, and you can see it, so you don't have to come to the theater if you don't want to, and you're not going to be missing anything. So there's lots of things that we did on the Grandiosa. And the beautiful thing is, you don't only hear it from us, you hear it from the guests that were on board. They're putting it on YouTube, it's all over, and it's all so good. And that's what we want. We're just waiting to do it here now.
Itching to do it here now.
We're itching to do it here now. Yes.
Yes. I'm gonna bring April into the conversation now. Welcome here. I'm happy to have you here. April is with Collette Tours. She's been a guest on my presentations before, so I'm happy she's back. And Collette has also been currently touring in a different, in a reduced capacity, right? They're not everywhere right now. They normally tour the world. They're offering limited service and limited capacity. So I'm gonna put up just the information that you had given me earlier today, April, about your commitment as a company, and give you an opportunity to talk to us a little bit about where Collette is currently operational and how they're kind of doing things. What's been your feedback to date? Tell us a little bit about the story.
Sure. So I'm very excited about being able to work for Collette. I personally love travel. It's really just a way of life for me. And I know it is for so many other people out there. where travel isn't just something to pass the time, but it really is a fulfilling, empowering experience. And it motivates me and it drives me. And I love to just learn about new cultures and people and places. And luckily, Collette actually spearheaded the return of travel back in July. And for those of you who don't know who we are, we're actually the oldest tour company in the world, and we're family owned. So we've been around for over a century and definitely have seen some ups and downs in the world. And luckily, because of that, we're as prepared as you possibly can be for a worldwide pandemic. And luckily, we were able to start touring in the United States. We ran about 12 different tours. So it was always based around where it was safest to bring people. We went to Mackinac Island. We had a little Michigan tour. We did Southern Charm, which was Jekyll Island, Savannah, and Charleston. We were doing Spotlight on South Dakota. We went to Nashville, some of the national parks. So that's just to name a few of them. But it was a really nice blend. And I think also it kind of forced people to actually experience our own country. I mean,
right.
I always
funny,
love
but it's
going
true.
international. And then you go to places and you say, oh, I'm from America, and they start naming things and you're like, oh, I've actually never been there before. Like, that's my own country and I haven't gone. So I think this gave people the opportunity to do that. And the feedback that we had from people was off the charts. I mean, we had people saying, so we do surveys, by the way, at the end of every tour, we do surveys, and there's a whole department that actually sits down, reads the surveys, and then adjusts the tours accordingly to exactly what our travelers are asking for. And on those surveys, 100% of the guests said that the safety and wellness protocols were extremely effective at making them feel comfortable traveling and just being out and about during all of this. And I know a lot of people out there too, even if they are willing to travel, they have this misconception that it's going to be just a completely different experience and I'm not going to be able to enjoy it and everything's going to be restricted. And again, that wasn't the case. In fact, these surveys, by the way, are from July and August, right when we came back, right in the peak time of COVID. And almost 80% of people said that it did not affect the tour in any way, shape, or form, and it was still completely enjoyable. So some of those protocols that we have in place is well, first of all, we work very closely with the local governments, the CDC. There's a whole foundation that's just a collaboration of different worldwide organizations that we partner with. And with that, we also obviously have raised the bar as high as it can possibly go when it comes to wellness protocols. I think I know I'm here representing tours, but I feel like I can say this on behalf of everyone in travel. Safety is our number one priority. So we are always looking to have a really enjoyable, fulfilling travel experience.
Yes.
As safe as possible right now.
Right.
And a lot of those things that they're doing is they are absolutely having pre-wellness checks that you actually need to fill out this form, go to the doctor, and be okay to travel. They are doing the temperature checks every single day. The buses are at half or even less than half capacity, where everyone is sitting at least every other seat, if not more. The buses are being sanitized every time you're on and off of them. Even the way that you get on them, they're going from being able to go in on the back and the front. So no one even has to walk past each other.
Gotcha.
And also our tour managers, which are Collette employees and live in the destinations majority of the year. When we were closed for a short time, not touring this year, they were under extensive training of how to handle wellness and health issues on tour. Even in your final documents now, everyone receives little masks. Social distancing is enforced everywhere you go. And when you're inside, everyone needs to wear their masks. They have these very special safety cleaning equipment and products that they use. And even some of the restaurants and hotels, we actually either stopped using them or switched to different ones because the original ones just weren't meeting our level of standards when it came to wellness. So there's a lot that is happening every step of the way, leading up to the tour, on the tour, and even following the tour. And you can go to collette.com/traveling well, and you can see the lists of all of them and the steps of travel that they take place in.
You know, what you said is so, it permeates all of us. We had our saying earlier, we had our national conference last week, and it was one of the things that is resonated with every presenter we saw or we heard from. This, you know, not only is it job one to make sure that it is as safe as it possibly can be, that their crew and passengers are all cared for with the same level of intensity and concern, but it's also about making sure that your comfort level is such that you're going to not only want to come and enjoy the trip, but you have it the minute you get there. So you're not going to have this angst while you're there, because you're going to feel plugged in immediately into that wellness model, because it starts from before you get there and you instantaneously are experiencing it. It's not something that you're like waiting to find out about, are they doing it? It's from the minute you get to your ship or the minute you get to your embarkation, and in many cases before that at the airport. So it really is an end-to-end experience.
Yes.
That is that's including all this care for passengers and crew or you know, the members of the tour guides and stuff. Everybody is on board the same way. That's excellent. And even Drew, you said it was the same way at the resort you stayed at, that it was very much from the minute you got there throughout.
Yeah, I think just what April said was perfect. I cry, and you can speak for everybody, because at the end of the day, whether you are a tour operator, a cruise line, a travel agency, or a traveler, safety, and you want to see that, you want to see what that means. Like that's why, Christy, the fact that you're doing these types of informational webinars are so important, and all of you that joined tonight, because you want to learn and understand more, you know, and if now is not the time to travel, then at some point it will be, and you want to be more educated and informed. And the reality is there's not going to be one protocol that's the same across the industry. So the facts are, you should look at what's happening in your backyards, literally in your communities, and those are the protocols that are going to be pretty standard for sure. But you're going to see different hotels. Like I you know, at the hotels in Aruba, I saw them using the fogging machines. Like I saw all that. Like, and you may not see that at every hotel though. So you have to be comfortable with that. And even in the hotel rooms, they have their remote controls are wrapped in plastic, but not every hotel. It just depends.
Yeah, right. And I think one of the things that ties me so nicely into the why use a travel agent is, you know, one of the things that we do is we work with partners like MSC, like Collette, where we've already developed a rapport with them, so we know we can trust what they put out for our clients.
Right.
Yeah, and I think this is an important point. As you know, Christy, I'm super passionate about this. So number one, for working with the travel agent, it's going to save you time, energy, and money. It's statistically proven. And more importantly, now more than ever, you need to rely upon people like Christy and Dream Vacations, that we can help take a lot of that angst out of the process, because you need help in making a decision on where to go on your next vacation. You don't need help in trying to figure out how to do it safely. Like that just seems to me, you should put that in the hand of an expert like Christy. And certainly, you know, with Dream Vacations, you get access to exclusive promotional offers and different group rates and great partnerships, like such as from Collette or MSC. So Dion and April, thank you so much for partnering with Christy tonight on this. But honestly, I'm very passionate about it, so I can keep going on and on and on my soapbox. The value of a travel agent, I want to shout it out from the rooftop everywhere, because a lot of times, unfortunately, and this is why Christy is so great, because she's shouting it out at the rooftops in her community. People just don't know. They're like, oh, I could have used a travel, I could have saved money. It's not going to cost me more. No, it's going to cost you less. In many cases. On average, a travel agent will save you $350 per vacation. So.
Wow.
And just think of all the wonderful time you'll spend chatting with me. One of the things I've always been proud to be is an advocate for my clients. And in this year and going forward, it's even more important now than ever. I mean, I know plenty of people who booked direct or booked it themselves, and they're the ones who spent hours on the phone, on hold, in March, in April, when their stuff was canceled. And I spent those months on the phone for my clients, because that's what I do. I take care of my clients. But it's a start to finish process. When you work with a travel agent, you know, it now is an excellent time to just start the conversation. You know, pull that bucket list off the wall and say, you know what, I've always wanted to go to this place X. Let's talk to a travel agent about it. One of the things I'm going to ask both of my guests to chime in about is, right now, more than ever before, all of our preferred partners have excellent book with confidence policies that allow for the maximum amount of flexibility on the part of the guest to make a advanced booking down the road, whether it's 6 months from now or 18 months from now or whatever, but you have the most amount of flexibility so that you can plan for the vacation you want, work with an agent so that you get the best price, the best trip that's aligned with your interests, and you know, who's going and when you're going and all those details that we'll find out when we have our consultation. And then be able to have the confidence that not only have I gotten a great vacation for my money, but also it's the vacation for me. It's personal, right? It's I think of myself as a matchmaker. I'm not just plucking something off the shelf and saying, oh, you wanted to go to Aruba, here's Aruba. It's about your personal trip to Aruba, right? It's about what you want and what you don't want taken into consideration. But on top of all that, I'm your advocate. I'm your partner. So when you have a question, I'm the person you talk to. There's no call centers. There's no, oh yeah, let me find out. Let me dig your file up and remember who you are and who you are. So I'm working with you from the start to the finish. And if anything goes a little pear-shaped, I'm your gal. So let's talk about those book with confidence policies. Dion, tell us a little bit about what MSC has got going on right now.
Well, great question. And I love it because in August, we came out with Cruise Flex. And Cruise Flex started in August, the early part of August, August 5th. And anything you booked from August 5th till December 31st of 2020, you can, up to 48 hours, you can call and cancel. And there's no charges or anything. You could move the cruise to a different sailing, different time, up to 48 hours before you travel. So if anything personally happens with you or anything like that, you can feel pretty confident. It doesn't ruin what, you know, what if you came up with an emergency or you just didn't feel comfortable or, you know, just whatever is going on with you. So if you're sailing, that will apply to any sailing from December 1st of this year till December 31st of 2021. So, you know, be confident, still do your booking, still plan your vacation. If anything comes up and you do the booking by December 31st of this year, you can confidently know that up to 48 hours, if it's next June and you're like, you know what, whatever your emergency
or COVID outside, I don't want to go, right?
For whatever reason you want, you can definitely move that, you know, move your sailing. Yeah. So yeah, there's lots of, you know, we know that people are coming back and they're apprehensive about, you know, a lot, you know, if you're saying maybe you don't feel so good and you don't want to go because you don't know if it could develop into something more, you could say, well, you know what, let me move it to a month from now, 2 months from now, or, you know, whenever you're comfortable to do that. And it's great that you could just call up, you know, do the 48 hours before. So yeah.
I know, and it's an unprecedented flexibility thing. It just, this isn't the way things normally are. So it
No,
really is
definitely.
advantageous.
Yeah, but we want people to feel confident and
Yeah.
not feeling that they're going to lose anything in coming in, you know, in doing their bookings. Because listen, the entire industry is going to come back, and we're going to come back stronger. And there's going to be, I think all the travel agents are going to be so busy, you know, once we start. So all the little things that we need to help out to, you know, allow people to feel comfortable in the restart of it. That's
Right.
what, you know, we're here for. And this program, I think, you know, helps out tremendously.
When I was speaking to some friends recently, we were talking about the value to your like core, right, of having something on the books, like having something to look forward to, right? I mean, we're all spending a lot of time with family right now, but is it really quality time? I want to be able to put something to really look forward to on the calendar, even if it's 18 months from now, right? It doesn't matter if it's now or later, but the wellness that comes from having something to look forward to. I'm looking forward to my next vacation, and it feels like it's a million miles away, but it's on the calendar, and it gives me something to get excited about.
Yeah.
April, tell us about what Colette's got.
Okay. Well, first, I just want to say, you know how I feel about travel agents. I used to be one. So
That's right.
I was a travel agent before I was a business development manager, and I can't praise travel agents enough. So many people think that they can easily just search something up on the computer. Oh, I can Google that. I can find the answer. Or I found a deal, or whatever it is. And you're missing that human aspect of it loses so much value, so much value. Like Christy, like you were saying about how you're an advocate for them, and how they're not the ones that are arguing with the airlines, or waiting on the phone forever, trying to see what's going on with their money, or whatever it may be. And Drew mentioned before about being the experts, not only the experts of all destinations, but it really is that relationship. Google does not have a relationship with the rep of a company. They don't know the manager of a hotel. They can't call up and do a special request or have something nice sent to your room. It's just such another level of experience, and it's so enjoyable. And you, one, get to make a new friend, and two, get to save some money. So it's a win-win, and save plenty of time.
That's right.
Yeah, here we go. Here's a whole list of reasons why it's fabulous to work with them.
Yeah, I think a lot of people think it does cost money. For some reason, they don't realize that it actually can save them a ton of money.
For sure.
And time. I mean, that's one of the things I always felt was so precious, right? If you got a full-time job, you don't have time to do all this stuff. That's my full-time job. Let me take that off your shoulders.
Exactly.
There are lots of wonderful reasons to work with me. I'm special. But on top of that, like I said, I work with great partners. We don't, you know, if you're interested in going to some beautiful tropical island in an overwater bungalow, I'm not going to say, when you tell me, oh, I found Billy Bob's bungalows for $9.99 a night, I'm going to say, no, I'm not putting you in Billy Bob's bungalow, because I know better. And I'm going to make sure that where you go is worthy of you. I have a rule that I will not send anybody to a resort or on a cruise or on a trip that I wouldn't send my mother on. That is my rule. She is my benchmark. And I would not send my mom to Billy Bob's overwater bungalows. So no, I have standards. And the wonderful thing about working as part of the Dream Vacations family is they've already taken care of making sure I work with the best in the business. So, you know, there's a lot of there's a lot behind this agent that helps me be fantastic at what I can do for you guys. Let me field a question. We've got an audience question. Very impressed with all the safety protocols we're hearing about on both cruising and touring. Question is if somebody during the course of their trip should test positive or have like a temperature check that is too high, what is the next step? Now, this is current state, what you're doing right now. So I'll ask Dion to field this one because I think it was partially
Okay.
the cruise part.
Okay, not a problem. And again, remember that I'm speaking of what we've done in the Med
Correct.
from August till now. So I can tell you that there is a portion of our ship that is separate from everything else, where even the air filtration is different than the other the other air filtration on the ship. So we have more medical staff on board. You know, all the medical personnel is there to help out. You're in a quarantined area, and the little badges that you wear, the MSC for me, the little wristband, it allows you, if you come down sick, it allows us to tell who you were around, so we can get to those individuals even faster to help with maybe taking the test. Right. You know, or if you were to get sick, or just to make sure, you know, who you came in contact with. So it's a faster response, and you are completely away from if you get sick, that you're in a different area of the ship than everyone else. You're not going to get trapped on sea because you have someone sick on board. Right. What happened before, it will not happen again, you know. So there's faster response we can take care of you if you do get sick. And there's a lot of qualified medical staff on board to take care of you. You know, so it's something that you don't have to worry about. You know, you don't have to shut the entire ship down because you're thinking, you know, a virus is going to go from one vent to another, and a lot of worries, you know. So with all of that, when they went to go back to sailing, all of that was taken into consideration. So
much technology has advanced in the last 8 months.
You know that once something happened, that you can see and you learn from it, and then going forward you'll improve it forever. So we did make the efforts, and you know, as you could see, for the Grandiosa 2 7-day sailings, and the Magnifica a 10-day sailing. So with over 2,500 people on board. So you know, I think
I think the one thing to add to that, Dion, is the cruise industry as a whole. The CDC requirements is that they have to submit a plan, and then within 60 days, they have to also do test cruises that kind of just mirrors an outbreak. And I'm not going to say there won't be, because there's no right now, but I also want to bring it back because there's really positive news that's going on right now with the vaccines.
Yes.
You know, and even you hear Dr. Fauci say, look, the cavalry is coming. Like, right. So the end is in sight for sure.
Right,
and
definitely.
You're seeing the major public cruise lines have raised huge monies this week, $2 billion in investment. That means Wall Street is saying we believe in the cruise industry because the pent-up demand right now has never been as high as it is for any vacation, but even more so a cruise vacation. Yes. So I just want everybody to know, like a cruise vacation, I get why you would think right now, okay, what's going to happen when there's an outbreak? What am I going to be quarantined? No. Look, they're finding solutions to all of those right now, and they have to go through the protocols, and that's what the CDC report is requiring them to do. And that's why the cruise lines are voluntarily extending their pause in operations, so that they can show and demonstrate that this behavior, I mean, like, so that what they can be doing and how you're safe on board. And if and when there is a potential outbreak, that they have the space for quarantine, they have the space to contain, and then obviously they can make sure everybody is safe on board. So.
Right. Now, I'm sure it's a little different in the case of a land tour, right? With what the protocols might be for Collette.
Yes. And I also wanted to just comment to someone asked a question really quick about the planes. And we actually just discussed this in our team meeting not that long ago about the purity of the air on the planes. And they went through the whole process of how they do that. Because it's one thing that when it's our company, right, we are in control of our buses and who we work with. Obviously, every airline has different protocols too, but they said that it's the same filters that they use for for operating rooms.
Yes.
And that out of all the flights that have come in and out of the United States this year, that about 42 COVID cases were traced back to getting them on air travel.
Right.
42 out of like, it's not even, you can't even measure it at all. And just to go, I know I'm like going back a little bit, just to go back a little bit before as well. I never actually answered your question because I started talking about travel agents. And yes, there are different protocols, obviously, for being on a tour. And like I mentioned, the tour managers that are with you, that are there 24/7, do have a set protocol as to how they would handle someone who is sick. There's also 24/7 doctors that they have access to. And then there's different protocols for then, of course, the people on tour. And like I mentioned, if you go onto the site, it'll give you very detailed information of every step of the way, before, on tour, and even after. And when it comes to flexibility and options, because I know that's a big fear too. Number one fear, safety and wellness. And then you're like, okay, well, I realize that, you know, these companies are going above and beyond to keep us safe and to still have an enjoyable experience. I know with Collette that it's our philosophy that it's important to understand how to adapt. There's no end date to this. Nobody knows that, you know, on this date, we'll be fine, everything will be back to normal. So because we don't know that, we need to learn how to exist in this type of environment and take the proper protocols and steps, because I don't know about you, but I do not want to put my life on hold indefinitely, hoping that something will change in the future. But because of that, God forbid, and when a tour did get canceled because of COVID, our guests were offered 3 options that they can choose from. One was to move price protected to a new date, either later that year or the next year, and their insurance moved with them if they had it. The second option was 105% voucher of all their money that was paid, which again, they can use for the future. And the third one was full cash refund, all their money back, including insurance. And that was it. In fact, luckily, Collette is a debt-free company, so they were actually able to refund over $115 million to people. So that concept of like, oh, well, I don't want to do this because they're going to have my money and I'm not going to be able to, that's not the issue. And in fact, our travel insurance, which never changed, this has always been our policy, is that you can cancel for any reason, no questions asked, no doctor's notes needed, no documentation, up till the day before travel. So we used to call it the, you know, the bad hair day policy. Like, I wake up, someone to see me, I can't go tomorrow. Call up and you get all your money back. And it's that simple. It's a quick phone call. So there's a lot of different options and flexibility put in place that people shouldn't be nervous or weary to put a deposit down to be able to have something positive to look forward to in the future.
Right. Don't let that slow you down. That's really the point, right?
Right.
It's so beneficial to take the time to say, hey, you know what, let's take that idea off the shelf. I mean, I know plenty of people, myself included, who had big milestones to celebrate this year and didn't get to take the trip they planned on taking. I was telling Drew about this yesterday. I'm planning that makeup, my do-over birthday for next year.
That's right. And happy birthday again. That's so exciting that you celebrated your
my
milestone
do-over birthday trip is on the books, man. And it's something to get excited about. I love the fact that I've got something to look forward to, especially when there's so much craziness going on day to day. And it's true. I do book my own travel, but I'd be happy to book yours. We're coming up to our 8 o'clock hour, and I'm sure there are plenty of other questions that I didn't get to. There are probably other questions on people's minds, but in a nutshell, let's curl this up into a nutshell. It is a fluid environment. Things will continue to change as things like like as cruising comes back online in the United States, things will continue to change. As more and more destinations start to open their borders, and even within the United States, as we get our own situation under control. So it is a very fluid situation. I always encourage people to not only inform themselves, but to work with a travel agent so that you have as the best kind of planning partner you can when you're working on something like cooking up that bucket list or that dream vacation. It doesn't even have to be something so crazy. It could just be your next trip. But the other details, because things are so kind of unusual right now, is something I've been saying to people of late. And as much as I can inform you about what's going on, everybody does and should always take personal responsibility for knowing what are the rules right now, where you're traveling to, and what they are when you come home. Because everybody's state, everybody's county, everybody's country, everybody's got different rules right now. So even if I wanted to go to Boston right now for the weekend, I had to know what was going on in New Jersey and in Massachusetts in order to make that trip.
That's right.
So you do have to be responsible for those things on your own. A great source of information is our State Department website, state.gov. There's tons of great information on there, not only about here, but where we'd be going. Official tourism websites like the tourism website for Bermuda or Jamaica, they have up-to-date information about the rules for how to visit those places. And also all of our providers like MSC and Collette, they all have specific information on their websites that keep us all up to date. So when you're ready to reach out to me and say, hey, I've been thinking about doing this trip, you can get yourself familiar with it ahead of time. I can help you do all the digging, and then we narrow things down. There's so much information out there. Don't ever feel overwhelmed. That's why you have a partner in your travel agent. I want to thank everybody who's been on the call tonight, especially my special guests, Drew, April, and Dion. Thank you guys so much for all the wonderful
Thank you, Christy.
and inspiration and enthusiasm about travel. I think the biggest takeaway I had from last week's conference really was the positive vibe about travel in 2021. We'll be back out there. I know we will. There's so much great, there's so many great places in the world to visit. I hope everybody kind of just thinks about where that next place will be. I want to extend an invitation to everybody who registered tonight. If you are interested in taking a qualifying Collette or MSC vacation and you book by the middle of December, I will toss in a little something special for you. So all you need to do is contact me so we can start talking to you about your favorite trip. And how, of course, you contact me is by phone or email. You can always go on my website, find me on one of many social media points. And no matter what you do, go to my website, escapeartistholidays.com, and sign up for our current fabulous giveaway. We are giving a 3-night stay. We didn't even talk about this. Luxury villa in Los Cabos. Drew, I think it sleeps like 10 or 12 people. You could take your whole bubble with you on a vacation.
Listen, we didn't even get a chance to go through villas. That's a whole other discussion, but it does sleep a ton. And bring your entire family.
What was that?
And Black Friday, Cyber Monday.
Yes, you're right. Lots of deals coming down the pipe. Now's the time to call me.
Oh.
So I want to thank everybody again. I hope you all stay safe and healthy. Thank you again for being here tonight. And if you want to see what's coming up next, go to our We Will Travel Against page and you'll see Mexico on the horizon and Alaska and US cities with Collette. My buddy April will be talking to me about some more stuff in a couple of weeks. So thank you, everybody. Have a great night.
Bye, everyone. Thanks so much. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy
Bye, everyone, and have a happy